Hey guys, welcome. I am excited to be here for maybe just myself for a live, but possibly other people will arrive. Let's get right into it. I'm excited to go through the Detention Docket series, as I'm calling it. This is reverse alphabet day. This is not Judge Kim. This is Judge Andy Porter, who was one of the associate judges underneath Judge Kim, down in the 323rd district of Tarrant County, Texas. So that is where we're at. We're going to a detention hearing. Detention hearings are held for kids when they're first arrested and brought into custody. They need to see a judge within the first 2 days that they're there, 2 business days. And when after they've been detained, they need to continue to see a judge every 10 business days. So that means we see the same kids every 2 weeks or so. So we're going to get to know a cast of characters here throughout this time. And I'm excited to do it all with you guys. So without further ado, let me get this playing. Hello, are you trying to get online onto Zoom? I sent the link out. There's a second link. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't work. I sent a second link. Okay, because you're up. We're waiting on you. Okay, bye.
All right. Your attorney's on his way. He'll probably be here in less than 2 minutes. All right, Miss Walden?
Miss Smiley.
Miss Smiley?
Yes, sir.
I believe Miss Walden's trying to get your attention.
Is my mama coming?
She's not gonna be able to make it. She said she had to go to work. She started back to work.
Oh.
Did you get a hold of her?
I talked to her yesterday.
Okay.
Oh, so she not gonna be on here?
She said she's at work. She had to go back and start the store back up today. So she said she wasn't gonna be able to make it. There's Miss Lateef.
All right. How are you, Mr. Adeniji?
I'm good.
All right, Miss Walden. My name is Judge Porter. You have the right to have this hearing recorded. You also have the right to have this hearing in front of Judge Kim. If you want either of those things, your attorney, Mr. Adeniji, will let me know. Do you see him on the screen?
Yes, sir.
All right. You also have the right to remain silent and not say anything at all. If there is something you want to say, I would suggest that you not just blurt it out. Instead, what I want you to do is wave your hand like this. That'll get my attention. That'll also get your attorney's attention. And then I'll create a private internet chat room just for the two of y'all to talk. That way he can tell you whether or not you really should say it. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right, Miss Smiley, what brings Miss Walden to court today?
Well, Your Honor, she was referred in custody on April 9th for UUMV. According to the police report, she took her father's SUV and drove to another location on Calmont. Father and stepmom alerted the police that she did not have permission to take the vehicle. She was taken into custody and referred to the JPD. Your Honor, another out of custody referral came in on yesterday due to a fight that occurred in detention on April 27th. There were incident where there were 5 girls involved in a fight back in detention. Yes, sir. On May the 1st, 2 of the victims decided they wanted to file charges. Tarrant County Sheriff's Department was notified, came out and took a police report, and that report did come in yesterday.
All right. Does she have a parent or guardian here today?
No, Your Honor. Her mom said she was not able to make it. She just started back work today and she had to open up the store. So she was not able to make it.
Okay. And she's level 1-0 in the back.
She is as of yesterday.
All right. Mr. Adeniji, what are your thoughts?
I spoke with my client yesterday and she asked me to humbly request of you to let her go home and an electronic monitor.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, I don't have a parent or guardian to release her to today. So I'm going to have to order that she be detained. Yes, ma'am. What is it, Ms. Walden?
My mama, when I talked to her yesterday, she was like she wasn't gonna be able to make it, but she said if I got released, it'll be later today to get me picked up.
Okay. Well, I'm going to allow you and Mr. Adeniji to talk about that at a later time. And Mr. Adeniji knows that if you maintain your level 1-0 status, then I'll let him make a special request for an earlier detention hearing. And he can either get myself or Judge Terry or Judge Kim to consider releasing you when your mom can be present for court. Is that okay?
Okay.
Judge, can I clarify this policy? Is it 7 days maintain level 1 outstanding or 2 weeks?
I didn't set a specific date. What concerns me right now is the fight that occurred back in detention.
Okay.
Because the court's aware of a little bit more than what was brought out. So I'm not going to make a specific promise that if she keeps a certain level for a certain number of days, that she automatically gets out. I'm going to allow you, Mr. Adeniji, to work with the prosecutor in figuring out if and when that might be appropriate to make that request. Does that make sense?
Yes, Judge.
All right. All right, that's going to be the order of the court. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Judge. Judge, I don't think I have any other setting. Am I free to leave?
Yes, sir, and thank you for being here today. Good to see you on a Friday.
You too, Judge.
All right, I know Ms. McGonagall's here. I thought I saw her. There she is. Let's get her unmuted. And is Ms. Washington here?
Yes.
Your Honor.
All right. You, Mr. Osborne?
Yes, sir.
All right. My name is Judge Porter. This is a detention hearing to determine if you should remain in custody or be released to a parent or guardian. You have the right to have this hearing recorded. You also have the right to have this hearing in front of Judge Kim. If you want either of those things, your attorney, Ms. McGonigal, will let me know. Do you see Ms. McGonigal on the screen? She's the lady with the blue shirt waving her hand.
Oh, I see her.
Okay. You also have the right to remain silent and not say anything at all. If there's something you want to say, please do not blurt it out. Instead, what I want you to do is wave your hand like this.
Yes, sir.
That'll get my attention. That'll get your attorney's attention. I'll create a private internet chat room for y'all to talk. That way she can advise you on whether or not you really should say it. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. Anything you say today cannot be used at an adjudication or disposition hearing, but it might be used against you at a future detention hearing. So, Ms. Washington, what brings Mr. Osborne to court today?
Thank you, Your Honor. On May the 8th, Osmond was referred in custody by the Fort Worth Police Department for the offense of evading arrest with the vehicle. According to the report, on May the 7th, Fort Worth Police observed him operating a silver Nissan northbound on Miller Street. The officers ran the vehicle and learned that the vehicle was stolen by the Dallas Police Department. The officers observed Osmond in the driver's seat, initiated a traffic stop, and the vehicle pursuit ended. After several miles, the vehicle crashed into a backyard on Sandy Lane. Osborne was observed exiting the driver's side of the vehicle after the crash, after it crashed into a creek bed. He was located in a creek bed after it crashed. Osborne had exited the driver's side of the vehicle, ran on foot. Osborne was returned to the crash. They was able to apprehend him, return him to the crash scene, and verified that the vehicle, that he was a vehicle of the driver. He was transported here. Your Honor, he's currently on probation, a 1-year probation for unlawful carrying of a weapon, possession of marijuana, and theft of a firearm. Those were all consolidated, placed on probation for 1 year on July the 11th. I'm not sure if there's a parent that's here. I've been trying to contact the mom all week and even this morning. He's currently in CPS custody. He was placed in the foster care back on, I believe it was April the 3rd, due to an incident that occurred at the home that they were residing at. He was removed by CPS and placed in the foster care, and then he ran from that foster care. I did speak with a CPS worker on the 15th of April, and she was supposed to have been sending me the runaway report and some more additional information. I have yet to even receive that. Osborne had been making phone contacts with me up until this week. I did speak with him. He and mom on the 30th was my last time speaking with him. I did encourage him to contact the CPS work and go back to the foster care. I've been trying to contact mom since Monday through this morning, and I have yet to talk with her. So I'm not sure what's going on.
All right, Mr. Osborne, do you need to talk with your attorney privately?
Yes.
Okay. Let me set that up for you.
Is she on there?
Just a second. Ms. McGonigal, please make it brief because you've got other people waiting behind you, okay?
I understand, Judge.
I know you do. Sometimes the others don't. All right. You should be able to go in there now. All right, Ms. McGonigal, what are your thoughts?
Your Honor, we've spoken, and he is going to be returned to the foster home with his siblings. I'm not sure if there's a CPS representative on here. I saw a name that looked familiar for CPS, but I'm not 100% positive.
You're correct, she is, and I've asked her to join by video, and I haven't seen that happen yet. There she is. Miss Tiffany, can you unmute?
There she is. Yeah.
There she is.
Hi. I am not the worker for this child though.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I'm here for another youth.
Okay.
Well.
All right, Miss
No, I can
McGonigal.
see who the worker is.
It was Miss Megan. The last person I spoke with was someone by the name of Megan.
Oh.
That was probably in investigations.
Yeah.
All right, I don't see anybody named Megan in the room today. So, Ms. McGonigal, what are your thoughts?
You know, we just asked that he be released back into CPS's custody. He is going to return to the foster home. I think that would be beneficial for him. He can receive services through CPS right now, counseling, anger management, medication compliance. He'd also, seems as though was compliant with probation, at least with meeting with Miss Washington. I don't anticipate that being an issue if he is in foster home. So if we can get in touch with a representative from DFPS, I'd like to have him released back to that foster home today.
All right, counsel, thank you for your arguments. Mr. Osborne, you're on probation, you're evading arrest, you're committing a new offense allegedly, traveling at 100 miles an hour in a residential area. Not acceptable behavior. That is not behavior that is compliant with your probation. And so I'm going to order that you be detained, because if I were to release you, you'd be a danger to the community. Sir, put your hand down. What I want you to do, we'll reconsider this in 2 weeks. Between now and then, you need to get to level 1-0 for me to even consider releasing you, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, that's going to be the order of the court. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I know Mr. Lewis is in the building. I can see him today. Mr. Lewis, are you in the room? There you are.
Yes, sir.
All
Can
right.
you hear me?
Yes, sir. Okay, and are you Mr. Mayfield?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Mayfield, my name is Judge Porter. This is a detention hearing to determine if you should remain in custody or be released to a parent or guardian. You have the right to have this hearing recorded. You also have the right to have this hearing in front of Judge Kim. If you want either of those things, your attorney, Mr. Hall, will let me know. Do you see Mr. Hall on the screen?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, keep looking. His name says Ray and Don Hall, and he's got a big turkey behind his head. Okay, take your computer mouse and move it to the right side of the black border on the screen. It should have a blue arrow that pops up. I want you to click on that blue arrow for me, and it'll give you an additional grouping of pictures. Do you see Mr. Hall now?
Oh, yeah, no.
All right. You have the right to remain silent and not say anything at all. If there's something you want to say, I would advise you to not blurt it out. Instead, what I want you to do is wave your hand like this. That'll get my attention. That'll also get your attorney's attention. I'll create a private internet chat room for the two of y'all to talk. That way you can talk about what you want to say, and he can advise you on whether or not you really should say it. Anything you say during this hearing cannot be used against you at a disposition or adjudication hearing, but it might be used against you at a future detention hearing. All right, Mr. Lewis.
Yes, sir.
What brings Mr. Mayfield to court today?
Your Honor, Robert is pending file charges of criminally negligent homicide, manslaughter, and burglary of a vehicle, the latter of which is unrelated to the other two. The details of the homicide and the manslaughter are somewhat sensitive. I might respectfully suggest the court review the offense report versus be giving a verbal presentation.
That will work. And what's his level in the back?
Level is 1 outstanding, which he's consistently maintained during his time here.
All right, Mr. Mayfield, Judge Kim has gone over the charges with you, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you understand the charges, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you feel like I need to review those charges with you?
Not if you don't feel necessary, Your Honor.
Oh, well, I'm asking you, what do you feel is necessary? You feel you understand what you're charged with?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Tell me about your thoughts.
His aunt and uncle are willing to take him. They stay in touch with me, especially the aunt. We're going to be getting ready for trial, so I would like for him to be out where, he can come to the office and stuff to get ready, for court. And they're willing to take him. Mom's already in the past expressed that she would like him to be able to go there and stay with them while this is pending. I think we're set sometime in June now for the trial.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hall. Were the charges different, I would concur, especially given how well Mr. Mayfield has done in detention. But there are two factors that concern me. First, the underlying charge is serious. Second of all, we had to extradite him from Wyoming. And so that suggests the availability, I'm not saying probability, but the availability of a flight risk.
Well, everybody was aware he was going to Wyoming. The police and everybody knew about that.
And that's great. It just means he's got an opportunity and routes established where if he wanted to flee, he could, more so than your average Joe who grew up in Como, who has no outside ties to a different state. So that just gives me some pause. I don't see a parent or guardian here today, but I am aware that the aunt and uncle have been here in the past. But I think the gravity of the charge and those outside ties are just too strong for me to be able to release him today.
Okay.
All right. That's going to be the order of the court. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
One day where we start at the end of the alphabet and your client is at the top. So I feel bad because, I try and mix it up so that the attorneys who have Z clients don't get stuck all the time. Where was Judge Thomas? Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Uh-oh. I lost. All right, there you are. You Miss Mason?
Yes, sir.
All right. Sometimes the pictures on the screen move around to different locations and I lose where you're supposed to be. Okay. Ms. Mason, my name is Judge Porter. You have the right to have this hearing recorded. You also have the right to have this hearing in front of Judge Kim. It's just a detention hearing to determine if you should remain in custody or be released to a parent or guardian. Your attorney is Mr. Hall. Do you see Mr. Hall on the screen?
Yes, sir, I do.
All right. You have the right to remain silent and not say anything at all. If there's something you want to say, please do not blurt it out. Instead, what I want you to do is wave your hand like this. That'll get my attention. That'll get your attorney's attention. That'll let us know that you want to say something. I'll create a private internet chat room for the two of y'all to talk about what you want to say. That way he can advise you on whether or not you really should say it. Does that make sense? All right. And I believe you have a parent or guardian here today. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Are you mom?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Turner Hill, what brings Ms. Mason to court today?
Your Honor, this is her second 10-day detention hearing. She was referred in custody on April the 8th for the offenses of aggravated robbery ×2. According to the arrest affidavit on July 28th, Fort Worth PD responded to a robbery call. They met with the victim who said she believed she was set up by Anaya, who is the girlfriend of her roommate. The victim advised that they were hanging out at the apartment, and when the victim came out the bathroom, there were 3 males armed with handguns wearing masks and hoodies in the living room. The victim said one of the males pointed the gun at her head, and just as the suspects were leaving the house or the apartment, a friend of the victim had entered the apartment. The friend attempted to turn around and run, and then he was chased and shot at by the suspects. The victim and Anaya's boyfriend at the time also tried to chase the car, and they were also shot at by the suspect. On March the 3rd, Anaya's mother met with Burleson PD and informed them that she had information on the robbery, and she provided the officers with information about the suspects. Anaya had told her mother that Carson Deeds, who was a suspect, wanted the boyfriend set up for a robbery. Anaya told her mom that she refused. On March the 9th, Carson was arrested for a capital murder warrant. During the execution of the warrant, the officer seized his cell phone, and cell phone records showed a conversation between Anaya and Carson. The day of the robbery, during the conversation, Carson and Anaya developed a plan to rob her boyfriend of drugs and money, and she sent Carson pictures of his car and also the address. She informed Carson she would leave the door unlocked, and she planned to get half of the drugs for her role in the robbery. Carson and I also texted each other right before the robbery occurred, confirming what time Carson would be there. They also had text messages on March the 1st and March the 2nd, where they were talking about who had called the police and that the police were looking for Carson. And there was video found on Carson's phone of Anaya, Carson, and other suspects in the same vehicle that fled the scene after about 30 minutes after the robbery occurred. The DA did file a petition on the case, and she's scheduled for an adjudication disposition hearing on May the 21st, and she has no prior contact with our department.
All right, Mr. Hall.
Judge, her mom and grandmother are wanting her home. We're willing to go home also. She's been on level 1-0 this whole time. I think at the last hearing, it was said that if she stayed on it the whole time, that she could possibly be released. Mom has been cooperating with the police. And I think my client was put in a position where she didn't have a choice and had to cooperate, that the mom and her both had been threatened by the co-defendant, who's an older adult. So I'd ask that she be released.
All right. Ms. Mason, it's great that you're at level 1-0. However, circumstances surrounding the alleged offense, you understand why they scare me, right?
Sure, I understand.
They show a level of pre-planning that is unusual in a lady of your age. And were we not talking about a potential capital murder or something like that, it would be a different story. But this just scares me. And I'm afraid that, I know your mom was here today and was here last time, but I'm afraid if I release you, that you would be a danger to the community. I appreciate you've got a different argument, but I've made my ruling. I'm sorry. I can't do it. Not on what I have before me. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry.
Can I say something?
Yes, ma'am, you can.
But I mean, I just don't understand. Like, everything that the last judge told her to. She's not a threat to society. I live in a good community. Like, I live in Burleson. I would keep her on lockdown 24 hours. I'm on medical leave from work. I've been on medical leave for a year. Like, this isn't who she is. And I really want y'all to allow her to show y'all that that's not who she is.
Hold on. She's been on medical leave for a year, and her daughter just was accused of committing 2 armed robberies or aggravated robberies. It doesn't sound like that's very good supervision already. She thinks this is a good argument for her, but it's not going to work. What she should say is things are going to change so much, but she's already been home for the last year and a half, and this is the trouble her daughter's gotten into with her home. So, not a good sign. Anyways, I thought I would point that out because this mom thinks it's really interesting. Almost every time we watch these, you're going to find that the parents have like a script that they go through, sort of like sovereign citizens have a script. Parents of kids in detention have a bit of a script if they don't know what they're doing. Judges are not to be manipulated badly, basically. So you got to be on your A game. and like just crying about it and saying, I don't understand why you won't let her out isn't really going to do it. But let's see what Judge Kim or Judge Porter has to say.
She is. Mr. Hall, can you not say something like this is crazy? I mean, I thought we were going to be able to consider her to come home.
Yeah, I already made my argument to the judge. It's his decision. I mean, he understands that I want her home.
And I understand, Mom, that you want her home too. What is so scary about this is the text messages back and forth
Yes, sir.
that suggest planning this
I
robbery.
I understand.
That's what scares me.
I understand that, sir, but there's a long backstory to that, and it's just that's not.
And that needs to play out at a trial. Okay.
So is she gonna have to stay in until she goes to trial? Like, I mean,
This
are we
will be.
gonna give her a chance to come out in the community and show that this isn't who she is?
She'll have another detention hearing in 10 days. And it will, whether or not to release her will be reconsidered at that time. Okay.
They say this every time.
All right. Thank you.
The chair drag. I couldn't figure out what that was.
Instead of Randy. All right. Are you Mr. Eric?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right. Can you please pull your chair closer to the computer?
Okay. Before we get going on this part of this one, I just want you guys to realize that the mom, who is right up here beside the judge, this is Judge Porter, this is the mom right here. She has misunderstood already and thinks that the judge is speaking to her, even though he's talking to her son. So she is going to respond and do everything that he asks right now, as if he's talking to her. I want you to watch her up in the top left here, because this is where the real action is going to be. And I promise you, you're going to laugh so hard when you realize that. So I'm even actually going to take it back about 10 seconds and we're just going to watch as she misunderstands. And this is the beginning of sort of her downfall. This originally aired in our in May 8th of 2020 in Tarrant County, Texas, the 323rd district. And this is the beginning of our series called Detention Docket, where we're going to go through and learn the stories of all these different people and the different judges and how it played out over a year, actually. So lots and lots of episodes to go, but let's see. I just want you guys to really pay attention up here. Oh, not that far back.
Can you please pull your chair close? All right. Are you Mr. Eric?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right. Can you please pull your chair closer to the computer? Thank you. All right. This is a detention hearing to determine if you should remain in custody or be released to a parent or guardian. My name is Judge Porter. You have the right to have this hearing recorded. You also have the right to have this hearing in front of Judge Kim. If you want either of those things, your attorney, Mr. Hall, will let me know. Do you see Mr. Hall on the screen? He's the guy with gray hair and he's got a turkey in his background.
Yeah, I see.
You see him, Mr. Eric?
Yeah, I see.
All right. You have the right to remain silent and not say anything at all. If there is something you want to say, please do not blurt it out. Instead, I want you to wave your hand like this. Okay? That'll get my attention and that'll get your attorney's attention. I'll create a private internet chat room for the two of y'all to talk about what you want to say. That way he can advise you on whether or not you really should say it. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Ms. Peters, I know you're here. I saw you. There you are. Okay. What brings Mr. Eric to court today?
Your Honor, Ms. Bowers is actually the attorney of record. I just couldn't get a hold of her today.
Mr. Hall is covering for her.
On 5-8, he is the companion of Osborne, although my police report is not as detailed as Mr. Osborne's police report. It just indicates on 5-8 that Terry was a companion in a stolen car. They initiated a traffic stop when they put the red and blue light sirens on, and they evaded the vehicle for about 20 minutes, and then Terry exited the car once they pulled over and fled on foot. But he didn't get very far due to the terrain, due to his arm, and he was apprehended. They ran his name and found that he did have a warrant with our department. On 2/17, Terry left the home around 5:43 p.m. The electronic monitoring office called, and he had left while mom was asleep. So between the mom and the electronic monitoring office, he went to the address he was located at. He did return home. They issued a warrant. We dispatched Forest Hill PD numerous times to go pick him up, but they're not the best at initiating warrants. On the 19th, I called mom to have him turn himself in. He cut off the monitor and left without permission with a person. He has been pending court since November. We have done fitness to proceed evaluations on him. And court.
Yes, ma'am. What is going on? Miss Eric? Miss Eric, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes,
What
sir.
is going on with your son?
I don't. One thing I know is the wrong people. He's hanging around kids from a whole nother side of town where we live at. And I have tried to sit down and talk to him. I don't, I've been trying to tell him to turn himself in. He won't turn himself in. I go looking for him. The kids, they cover up for the other kids. Like they'll tell you a lot. Like he'll be right there and they'll tell me, "Oh, we ain't seen Terry." I said, "Well, you know I need to see Terry for his arm." They don't care. They just hide him, and they just don't care. They don't care if you're looking for your kid or not. They just cover up for him.
Well, now that he's back in detention, we know where he is, don't we?
Yes, we do.
And we know he's not out stealing cars, right?
Right.
We know he's not out doing drugs.
Right.
We've got him somewhere where his arm might actually have a chance to heal, right?
Right, I hope. Yes.
So, should I release him to you to come home today, or should we keep him someplace safe? Should we keep him in detention? Given his behavior, what should we do? Come on, Mom. You know what the right answer is. I know you don't want to say it, do you?
No.
Because you love your son, don't you?
Yeah, I don't want to say that.
He's not a bad kid. He just does bad things, right?
Yeah, he don't know how to. They know how to get to him. They know he wanna hang around, so they know how to. How can I say it? Like
they know how to trick him into doing bad stuff.
Yeah, because he's not that. If you go, Terry's not. He's not that type of person. I don't know. Since he's hanging around some more kids now, he just changed. So I don't even,
Mr. Hall.
Judge, I know Mom's usually on top of everything. I've represented, I believe, his brother before, and she always got him to court on time and everything. And if there's a problem, she always calls the PO. But you know, like you said, right now he's safe, and I'll leave it up to your discretion.
All right, Mr. Eric, we let you out last time to take care of your arm, didn't we?
Yes, but I had to go to the hospital.
Yeah. We let you out so you could take care of your arm, but now you're back in detention with a new charge, right?
What charge I got?
Another evading arrest. You ran from the cops, allegedly. Okay? You know you're not supposed to do that, right?
Yes, I just scared.
I know. All right. So I'm going to order that you be in detention because I'm afraid that if I were to release you, you'd be back with your friends and you'd be back in 2 weeks on another UMV.
Well, man, I'm trying to stay out the way. I'm trying to do better things.
Well, that's not the decision you made yesterday. Okay? So there has to be a consequence for the decision you made yesterday, right? Okay. So I'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir.
That's my last one, Judge. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the meeting.
All right. Enjoy your Friday.
You too.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Oh.
This kid's carrying his chair, different level.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Am I pronouncing your last name correctly? Is it Fontenot?
Yes, sir.
All right. Can you pull your chair a little bit closer to the computer for me?
Yes,
Thank you, sir. All right. My name is Judge Porter. This is a detention hearing to determine if you should remain in custody or be released to a parent or guardian. You have the right to an attorney. And do you see your attorney on the screen, Ms. McGonigal? She's waving her hand, blue shirt. Okay. Take your, you see the touchpad on the computer? Take your finger and move it over to the middle of the left side of the screen, and a blue arrow should pop up.
Okay.
And then tap on it, and you should see some new pictures show up. Do you see Ms. McGonigal now? She has glasses and a blue shirt, waving her hand. Do you see her?
Yes, sir.
Okay. She's your attorney. You have the right to remain silent and not say anything at all. If there's something you want to say, please don't blurt it out. Instead, what you do is wave your hand like this.
Yes,
That'll let me know you want to say something. I'll create a private internet chat room for you and your attorney to talk about what you want to say. That way she can advise you on whether or not you really should say it. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. And it also looks like you have a parent here today. Do you see her on the screen?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Mr. Lewis.
Yes, sir.
What brings Mr. Fontenot to court today?
Nelson was referred yesterday by the Fort Worth Police Department on a charge of family violence, assault with bodily injury. According to the police report on that day, yesterday, police were called to the home regarding a domestic disturbance. They were advised by Nelson's mother that she and her boyfriend had been away from the home, had seen on their doorbell camera that their daughter apparently had some friends over. They had gone home and dispersed the gathering. The friends were there, I guess, in defiance of the family rules. An altercation ensued between parents and kids, and Nelson allegedly went out and began punching mom's boyfriend's car. The boyfriend shoved Nelson away from the car, and Nelson allegedly picked up a scooter, which was in the yard, and struck him multiple times. The sister also allegedly struck the boyfriend and was arrested as an adult.
All right. And does he have a history with the department?
Yes, sir, he does.
Is he currently on probation for anything?
He is not on current supervision, no, sir.
All right, but his past offenses include assault and things like that. Is that
Yes.
correct? All right.
Yes.
Are you Nelson's mom?
Yes, sir.
What's going on? Talk to me.
Okay. Well, that's my car. So it wasn't my boyfriend's car. The car belonged.
Okay.
And Nelson was in his room. He came out.
Hold on. Not okay. They just did a whole breakdown on what kind of fight just happened. And the first words out of her mouth are to clarify that it's her car, not her boyfriend's car. I have a feeling this is going to tell us where her priorities lie, but that's weird to me. Okay.
And he coming. It didn't have nothing to do with him. And I was just telling him to be quiet. But I think Nelson was already upset because he wanted me to go ahead and purchase him online for his game because he just had got a new game. But I told him not right now because I just got his phone fixed. But I think what happened was when Tatiana shows out, which is the sister of 17, he tries to take her for her. And while my boyfriend had shoved Nelson away because Nelson was trying to get my phone out my hand because I was telling him that I was about to call y'all, but I wasn't really on the phone calling the police at the time. I was just trying to scare Nelson. But I don't know why Nelson came out his room to even jump in the argument. I mean, what was going on at all because it didn't have nothing to do with Nelson. But I think Nelson was just trying to be on his sister's side. But she was the one that caused the whole problem and made the whole commotion go on.
Okay. Ms. Smith, what are your thoughts?
Can I ask a few questions?
You bet.
Okay. Does the boyfriend live with y'all in the home?
Yes.
He does. How does he feel about this since he's the victim?
He said he didn't write a statement. He didn't want to. He tried to beg the police officer not to take them in, but he said he had to go ahead and take Nelson in. He didn't write a statement. He didn't want to go forward, and that's why he didn't come because he don't want to see them in jail.
Okay.
So he's fine. He's okay with it. That's why I asked him, but he was like, no, I don't want to participate in none of that.
He's tied up at home.
Do y'all feel safe with him if he were to be released today?
Yes, I feel safe with him. He doesn't harm me or nothing. I mean, he's not, since he's been off of probation, he's been a good kid. He don't go outside. I'm not taking up for him. But he just needs to stay in his place when it's not, nothing has to do with him because he could have barred that because he was in his room basically laying down asleep. But when his sister get rowdy, he thinks he's supposed to get rowdy.
Okay. Does he typically follow your instructions or your boyfriend's instructions in the home?
Yes, they get along. They even play the game online together. He goes and get his haircut with him. He takes him to get his haircut and everything.
Okay.
So this is the first time this ever happened.
Okay. And then Mr. Lewis, it looks like on the offense report, it's listed twice that he has 2 charges of assault family violence. Are there 2 victims or is it just duplicated?
I believe it's just duplicated. The police report I reviewed this morning just referenced mom's boyfriend.
Okay, I was just confirming. Your Honor, we'll defer to the court on this one.
Now, Mr. Lewis, I'm looking at the second page of your report to the court. Did Mr. Fontenot have a drug test when he came in?
Yes, sir, he did.
And what were the results of those drug tests?
He was positive for THC.
Mom?
Where's THC?
Marijuana? What's going on with that? What's he doing to use drugs?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Nelson, he goes outside with his friends by not knowing that he used drugs because I never seen Nelson smoking drugs. I don't smoke drugs.
But we're supposed to be on a quarantine, and we got pretty good evidence that he's out there smoking somewhere. Does that give you some concern?
Yes, that do give me some, because I'm not thinking that Nelson smoked marijuana. Because when I asked him, he tells me no.
Ooh. Well, Ms. McGonigal, what are your thoughts?
I think this might be a pretty good case for mediation. Sounds as though the victim is not 100% gung-ho to proceed to prosecution when he does live in the house. I think a mediation might be a good way to resolve this case informally. I would like to see him release his mother today. I would defer to the court if they feel that a monitor is appropriate. I'm not sure if CBD is up and running right now due to the coronavirus, but that might be a better alternative to give him a positive outlook and a positive outlet for his time.
Well, Ms. McGonigal, I'm going to let you work with Ms. Smith on those alternatives, but I am going to order that he be released to his mom today. Based on everything that I've been told, mom's got a pretty good handle on the situation. And while the drugs concern me, I think now that mom is aware that Nelson may not have been completely honest with his mother about his drug use, something tells me that mom's going to get on the top of that, right, Mom?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to order that he be released. Mom, do you have any concern that he's a flight risk at all?
Oh, no, he's not.
All right. Then I'm not going to order the electronic monitor in this case. I am going to order, Nelson, that you submit to random UAs. So that means if Mr. Lewis calls you at 9 o'clock in the morning, you got to come before 10 o'clock to give a UA. Okay?
Yes, sir.
You understand that?
Yes, sir.
And if, surprise, surprise, he calls you again at 3:30 that same day, you got to come back and give a second UA.
Yes, sir.
And I encourage the probation officers to give surprise double UAs in a day. That way you don't think you're off scot-free. All right?
Yes, sir.
So if you use drugs, we're going to know. And we're going to know those levels. And those levels will be shared with mom. And I guarantee you, I'm looking at mom right here on the screen. She's going to be watching you like a hawk.
Yes, sir.
Am I wrong, Mom?
Yes, sir.
All right. That's going to be the other court. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, sir.
Is Mr. Beaver here? Oh.
Your Honor, I'm here.
All right, I hear your voice. There you are, sir. Great.
Okay.
All right. Are you Miss Brunson?
Yes, sir.
All right. My name is Judge Porter. This is a detention hearing to determine if you should be released to a parent or guardian or ordered to remain in detention. You have the right to have this hearing recorded. You also have the right to have this hearing in front of Judge Kim. If you want either of those things, your attorney, Mr. Beaver, will let me know. Do you see Mr. Beaver on the screen?
Yes.
Okay. You also have the right to remain silent and not say anything at all. If there is something you want to say, please do not blurt it out. Instead, what I want you to do is wave your hand like this.
Yes,
That'll let me know you want to say something. I'll create a private internet chat room for you and your attorney to talk about what you want to say. That way he can advise you on whether or not you really should say it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Can you pull your chair a little closer to the computer for me? All right. Ms. Turner-Hill, what brings Ms. Brunson to court today?
Yes, sir. Her grandmother is entering the courtroom. I don't know if you see her walking in. Yes, sir. And then there's two CPS workers, Ms. Courtney and then Ms. Howard, are also present today.
Okay. I'm looking for Ms. Howard. There's Ms. Howard. All right. Ms. Howard, if you'll take your phone off mute. There we go. All right, Ms. Turner-Hill, and you're Ms. Brunson's grandmother in the back in the parent room, correct?
Yes.
All right. Ms. Turner-Hill, if you could tell me what brings Ms. Brunson to court today.
This is an attorney requested detention hearing. She was originally referred in custody by the 4th Police Department for the offense of assault family violence. Officers were dispatched to residents about 2:00 a.m. Officers spoke with the victim and witness who advised Sarah had been, the police report states that Sarah had been placed through CPS with the family, but that ended up not being correct. During an argument, Sarah assaulted Mary, who was the mother of the home. Mary's husband, Gregory, intervened to defend Mary. During the physical interaction, Sarah reported Gregory pushed her against a brick wall, causing her to hit her head. She then used her cell phone to defend herself and struck Gregory several times in the head until he let go of her. Sarah felt Gregory was going to assault her again, so she put her leg up to push him away. Gregory advised Sarah punched him approximately 2 times in the head, 1 time in the stomach, and kicked him 1 time in the left side of his ribs. And officers did observe visual injuries on Gregory, and he was transported to MedStar to determine if his ribs were broken. Based on the information, Mary did not want to press charges, and other witnesses at the scene determined that Sarah was the aggressor, and Mary and Gregory were acting in loco parentis over Brunson, and she was arrested and transported to our department. She has 1 prior referral for a runaway out of county from December of 2019. And at the last hearing, her mother appeared, and we were unsure about placement options for Sarah. But CPS has been working with the grandmother who resides outside of Tarrant County, and grandmother is willing to accept custody of youth. And CPS, they already met with the grandmother.
All right, Miss Tiffany, Miss Howard, what are your thoughts?
I went out to the house, to her grandmother's house, Connie Brunson. I observed the home, no concerns. I spoke with the adults in the home, which was Connie, and then her daughter, LaDonna, also lives there. No concerns. And we talked about what would happen if Sarah came home. Sarah needs to stay where she is. They need to contact us or contact you guys if she tries to leave. So we don't have any concerns, and we're okay with her being released.
And it said out of county. Can you tell me which county that is?
Kaufman County, Scurry,
Okay.
Texas.
Yep, I know Kaufman.
Mhm.
You have anything to add, Miss Tiffany?
No, I don't.
All right. Mr. Beaver, what are your thoughts?
Your Honor, I've been in contact with Ms. Howard and Ms. Turner Hill, as well as my client and my client's grandmother, and I believe that it would be in my client's best interest for her to be returned to her grandmother's home. I've spoken with her about the expectations for her behavior when she's living with her grandmother, and I believe that she understands it. So we request that she be released to her grandmother.
Okay. Ms. Smith?
Your Honor, we will defer to you on this one.
All right. Grandmother,
Yes,
do you want Miss Brunson to come home with you today?
yes, I do.
Tell me what's your relationship with her like?
She's my granddaughter. I took custody of her when she was a baby. I've raised her.
And does she follow your rules at home?
Well, she did for a while until she got a hot hair stuck up her butt and started leaving home and going to wherever she wanted to.
Has she been at school out in Kaufman County?
Up until this past year.
Okay. Last fall, was she in school?
Yes.
Okay. And up until February, she was in school like she was supposed to be?
I'm not sure she was in school in February.
Okay. Do you have any concerns if I were to release her to you today?
No, I think this would be an eye-opener for Sarah.
All right.
Go back, I don't think she'll run off.
All right. Sarah, you remember the last time that, did you talk with Judge Terry last time?
No,
You talked with me or Judge Kim?
you.
Okay. And what did I tell you then?
You told me if I hit a level 1-0 and I stayed that way and with good behavior, then I could be released.
And what did you do?
I got to a level 1-0 and took care of what I needed to.
All right. I'm a man of my word. You kept up your end of the bargain, and I'm going to keep my end, okay? Here's the deal, though. I expect you to maintain level 1-0 at your grandmother's house, okay? Can you do that?
Sure.
All right. You've proven that you can do it. Grandmother, 2 things. You need to make sure you get her back to court when she's supposed to be back to court, okay?
Okay.
If anything happens, if she runs away, I want you to make 2 phone calls. First, call her probation officer. Will you do that for me?
Yes, sir.
Second thing, please call her attorney, Mr. Beaver, because Mr. Beaver needs to know what's going on as well, okay?
Sure will.
All right. Mr. Beaver, you have anything else?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. That'll be the order of the court. Thank you. Good luck, Ms. Brunson.
Thank you, Your Honor. And that's it for me. May I be excused?
Yes, sir. You have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too, Your Honor.
All right. Diego. No, that kind of matters, doesn't it? Hey, Mr. Brito, is it Brito, or Brito?
Brito.
Brito, okay. Actually, yeah, if you'll have a seat. All right, Mr. Brito, my name is Judge Porter. This is a detention hearing to determine if you should remain in detention or be released to a parent or guardian. I see a parent walking back into the parent room. And you have the right to have this hearing recorded. You also have the right to have this hearing in front of Judge Kim. If you want either of those things, your attorney, Mr. Mooring, will let me know. Do you see Mr. Mooring in the courtroom?
Yes, sir.
Or on the screen? All
Yes, sir.
right. Now, you also have the right to remain silent and not say anything at all.
Yes,
If there is something you want to say, please do not blurt it out. Instead, I want you to wave your hand like this. That will give a signal to me that you want to talk about something. I'll create a private internet chat room for you and your attorney to talk about what you want to say. That way he can advise you on whether or not you really should say it. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Now, anything you say during this hearing cannot be used against you at adjudication or disposition hearing, but it might be used against you at another detention hearing. You got that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Ms. Aguirre, are you here? There you are. All right. What brings Mr. Brito to court today?
Your Honor, this is Diego's 10-day detention hearing. He was referred in custody by Haltom City PD for the offenses of aggravated robbery ×2. According to the police report, on February 24th at 9:47 p.m., officers were dispatched to a convenience store in reference to a shooting. Officer observed victim had a gunshot wound on his right leg. Victim reported as he was walking to the corner store, two Hispanic males exited the vehicle side of the vehicle and asked him for his money. Victim stated he told the males he did not have any money and they ordered him to give him his phone. Victim reported he was shot by one of the suspects. He reported the males did not take anything from him. On February 28th, detective was provided with information in reference to possible suspects that were generated from a Facebook posting about the incident. Diego did meet with law enforcement and reported while he was on his way to pick up his girlfriend, he met with law enforcement. He asked the victim for money, and when victim refused, he turned around and heard the shot fired by Andrew. Diego admitted he intended to steal the victim's phone. And Haltom City PD received notification on February 25th. Fort Worth PD officers were dispatched in reference to a robbery report call. Victim stated on February 24th, sometime after 9 p.m., he and his friend were walking down the street when a vehicle pulled up behind them. Alex Diaz, the victim, reported two Hispanic males exited the vehicle and demanded him to give them his phone and AirPods. He said he observed the other Hispanic male that walked up to his friend had a handgun and was afraid, so he gave the Hispanic male the property and fled the scene. The detective received a screenshot of an Instagram profile with an image of Diego. Victim identified Diego as the person who pointed the gun at his friend at the time of the robbery in Fort Worth. Diego admitted to law enforcement he took items from one of the males that they robbed, however stated his friend Andrew pointed the gun and told them to run. Diego was referred out of custody by Haltom City PD for the offense of aggravated robbery on April 27th. A supplemental offense report was added for Diego. The police incident report states on the 22nd of April, the victim was presented with a photo lineup of suspect Andrew Castellanos. He was unable to pick up Andrew from the lineup. He stated that he did not get a good look at him due to the shorter Hispanic male robbing him at gunpoint. He stated he recognized a Hispanic male robbing him and showed Haltom City PD an Instagram profile of Diego.
Wait,
Your Honor,
what's the alleged offense date for that?
it's the same one, Your Honor, for
Oh, okay.
February 24th is the alleged date, the offense.
Okay.
Alleged date of the offense.
All right. Has he completed the evaluation that was discussed with Judge Kim at the last detention hearing?
Yes, Your Honor, he completed that on April 29th.
All right. And how's he doing with his medication in the back?
Your Honor, no medication was prescribed. The doctor stated he did not appear to be experiencing any psychiatric crisis that would necessitate a medication evaluation from the detention psychiatrist.
Okay. What's his level today?
Your Honor, Diego is on level 1 today. He's been on level 1 outstanding since March 24th.
Okay. Mr. Mooring, what are your thoughts?
Judge, I'd ask the court to take notice of his disciplinary history. He's been in for over 30 days now, and he's been at level 1 the entire time. He also has an adjudication hearing on the 13th, and I would like to have him out during this time just to prepare for that. His mother and sister have been in my office on a number of occasions. They've been at every one of the detention hearings. He would be released to the custody of his mother and father and stay at their residence.
Ms. Smith, what are your thoughts?
The state would ask that he be detained as he is a danger to the community.
All right, Mr. Mooring, am I correct that last time this hearing was before Judge Kim, and Judge Kim told Mr. Brito that if he was level 1-0 and he was in compliance with his medication, that Judge Kim would consider his release? Is that correct?
That's correct, Judge.
My dilemma here is that the psychiatrist did not prescribe any medication.
He did not. The previous medication that he was on was prescribed.
I think something you have to understand about Judge Porter to recognize why he's getting hung up on this, which seems like something the average person would automatically just be able to move past, is that Judge Porter is an appeal lawyer. He is the type of lawyer that comes in after the fact of a judgment or a lawsuit having been finished and reviews everything by the minute detail to find where there was a mistake, and then they use that to overturn decisions. So his entire law career was in appeals, I believe. Now, what that means is he is beyond a stickler for words and wording. And so what he's saying here is, in the order from Judge Kim, it said that the child would be released if he was level 1-0 and taking his medication. Well, he saw a psychiatrist who decided as a doctor that they did not need to prescribe medication to the child, but he's having a hard time releasing the child because there was a requirement for him to take medication in the order from the judge who's not a doctor. I hope he gets past this and comes to the conclusion that the order should have been written to follow all treatment advice by the provider, as opposed to assuming that medication would have been the treatment method. But that's Judge Porter for you, because he's very sticky and very, very thorough about different parts of the law and following it exactly.
By JPS, and he had been on.
do you want to ask some questions of the family?
A judge, that's not necessary. I'll just let you know that they want him back home. He would be at their residence, can be confined to their residence, other than to come to my office. And they've been very compliant in everything I've requested that they do, and the courts and the detention center requested them to do.
Mr. Brito, what I just did while y'all were sitting there waiting is I looked up how you're doing back in detention.
Sir.
And it lists all of your infractions for me back there.
Yeah.
And you've been in now. So more than a month and a half, right?
Sure.
During that time, how many infractions have you had? One. There's one, only one noted. Well, I take it back. You have 2 infractions, but only 1 sanction. That's pretty remarkable.
Thank you.
That shows me that you do know how to behave in the back. Okay. Now, the agreement that you had with Judge Kim was that you get to level 1-0 and you maintain it, right? Okay. You've done everything on your part of your end of the deal to honor that agreement. So I'm going to follow the agreement that Judge Kim made with you, okay?
Yes, sir.
Now, I am going to order that you be released on an electronic monitor.
Sir.
Also, you are to have no guns of any kind in the house.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yeah.
If your probation officer goes on Instagram and finds a picture of you and a gun, that's a violation of your release, and you get to come back to detention.
Yes, sir. I understand.
All right.
Thank you.
So I don't even want a Nerf gun in the house. You got me?
Yes, sir.
All right. That's going to be the order of the court. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Moore. All right. The final hearing we have today is for a juvenile who is under the age of 14. And so pursuant to section 54.08 of the Texas Family Code, the court will be closing off the hearing and stopping the YouTube live stream.
Well, I would love to hear what you thought about that. That was our first episode. That was Judge Porter, who presided over that detention hearing, which happened on May the 8th. And so we had 8 people. I missed, and this is going to happen. We're going to have to figure that out right away. Y'all are going to need to back me up on this because yeah, the ADD. So I got everybody's result except for number 7, where her grandma came, but she had the assault family violence charge. So I don't remember if they released her or what happened in that one. Anyways, but we had 8 hearing or 8, people up on the docket, and 2 of them, maybe 3, were released. This was again in the 323rd District Court in Texas, and this is from May of 2020, so back in the middle or beginning of the pandemic. And what I am planning on doing is watching these over time to see how we. Do you think she got released, Danielle? I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and double check. I take the notes while I'm watching, so generally I pay attention. But yeah, the next episode will be, or the next day, basically, of detention hearings, and I'm not exactly sure who is presiding. There's 3 judges. There's Judge Kim, Judge Porter, and then Judge Terry, who's a woman. And all 3 of them work on the same sort of they work in the same department under Judge Kim, who's an elected official. So he was elected in where they are, Tarrant County. And so he is the one that sort of makes the decisions, the beginning decisions. But let me just double check here because I may indeed. Yeah, okay. I have the next episode, so I'm just gonna pull it up and see who it was. I'm gonna keep going with this because I want to include more than one in each episode because we're gonna have to get through it. It's like a year worth of hearings, so we gotta bang it out. So just give me a minute to pull this next one up, and then we'll go right on with our next day. They all came from Judge Kim's account. I'm not sure if he actually, at the beginning, he left them up and interacted with the chat. The chat was open, and he was really, I think, into it, like enamored by being on Zoom and not Zoom, on YouTube and still presiding over this. Like, you have to understand, judges over time have been presiding over their courtrooms, but it's a very small domain in a sense. And a lot of them lost that control on Zoom because they weren't able to command a courtroom the same way. They themselves maybe didn't have the technical skills to be very demanding. Judge Kim, as you'll see, has really extremely strict rules, and he loves to enforce them. He loves to deny release of a child because of an infraction the parents make, and I think we'll see that. The reality is every one of these hearings has something good in it, and so instead of picking through and grabbing little things, I thought we could go through them all together. So what is next is the Monday after. Mondays are always good because what happens is all the kids that were arrested on the weekend tend to get processed for their detention first hearing. So that hearing happens within 2 days of them coming to the facility, and it is their first experience with the judge. So I'm gonna clear the docket, if you will, in this part. I'll do episode 1 and then episode 1.5 or part 2 or something. I don't know how I'll figure it out, but I want you guys to see it on the screen as we go along. And we don't know who the judge is today. That's the other thing. So that was reverse alphabet day, if you noticed. Judge Porter he's such a fair judge. He starts the docket at the other side of the alphabet so that the kids don't feel bad. The ones at the end of the alphabet. Here, I'll just do this. Episode 2. And then we're going to do... well, we don't know what the title will be. We'll have to name it while we do it. Oh, wait. see. Now, I'll do like this. Okay. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. I am excited to be here, and let's get going. No, this is the wrong one. So hold on. And I'll get the right. It's the 11th. I thought I had it. Is it Judge Porter too? Maybe. Find out. Thanks for stopping in, Danielle, on the problem. Good to see you.
We are here in cause number 323-113-580-20 in the matter of Emma Gonzalez. It is Monday, May 11th. Are you Emma Gonzalez? All right, Ms. Gonzalez, I'm gonna need you to speak up for me. I need you to talk as loudly as I'm talking now because this hearing is being recorded. It's also being broadcast on YouTube. I will remind anybody who is watching the feed on YouTube that recording this hearing or rebroadcasting this hearing in any shape, form, or fashion is expressly prohibited. Violation of the court's order in this respect is punishable by civil and/or criminal contempt. So, Ms. Gonzalez, what is your date of birth? that makes you how old? All right.
Your Honor,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I can't hear her from where I'm at.
Okay. Yes, that's fine. That's fine. The only problem is her
I actually think
microphone is turned off.
this might be not a detention hearing, which is not what we want. Because there's not enough people. It's like hard to find detention hearing. Yeah. Maybe the next one was the 20th? No. 5/19, 5/15. Sorry, you have to work through this with me, but yeah, so then, yeah, I guess the next one was the 20th. This is Judge Terry, and it's short, so it's probably not detention hearings. Oh, this is it. Well, the first one went good. I might actually take this opportunity to end the stream here and pull up the right video to make sure, because this I don't think is the one either. And while I like these ones, I want to have the right episode. So I'm going to end the stream right now. I really appreciate everyone popping by. If you'll hit the like and subscribe, I am doing happy dances all over my kitchen because I have had so many new subscribers and followers lately, and I'm so excited for all the fun that we're going to have in the future. Thanks so much for coming to my kitchen and watching court with me, and I can't wait to do it again soon. Thanks, guys.